questions answered. Um, I've been using this slide for a number of years, and it's become a lot more interesting in the last year. The reason I've used it over the years is really as we focus on the right side, average age has significantly increased in terms of life expectancy. And what that's really meant is that amount of care that's needed at the end of an individual's life has increased. The reason it's become more interesting is that blip on the left side. What that blip is the Spanish flu. And where life expectancy with COVID has dropped about a year in 2020, it dropped 15 years in the Spanish flu because the Spanish flu really attacked the young a lot more than the old. And that's what you see on the left side of that chart. But really, as we focus on the right side of the chart, we really have seen a significant increase in life expectancy over the last 10, 20 years. And that means we need a plan for that care that's going to occur at the end of our lifetime. There was a study that came out about a year and a half ago from Harvard on adult development. Look at what some of these quotes from the study are. Good genes are nice, but joy is better. The second one is what really got me when I first read the study. Loneliness kills. It's as powerful as smoking or alcoholism. Who ever thought of that? It's powerful as smoking and alcoholism, loneliness. So really what the conclusions of the study were how important socialization and interaction are in terms of your happiness, your health, your quality of life. And that's really what the at-home program is getting to, is maintaining that quality of life. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal that came out right at the end of last year, and this is what's really changed. Just 7% would prefer a nursing home for their family, and only 6% wanted it for themselves. And so as we talk about the at-home program, we're not talking about not having care, we're just changing the location of that care. And so instead of if we look back 10 years, a lot of the care was centered around the nursing home. Now we're talking about bringing that care into an individual's home. And again, what we found is that it's just a better quality of life. So as we look at the continuing care at home model, I started working with this about 20 years ago. And what we found over that 20-year period is the at-home programs, as it was first brought to me, they've been remarkably successful at what they initially set out to do, which is to manage down that care so that we don't have as much facility care and we have a lot more care in the home. And if we look at comparing sort of the at-home statistics to a CCRC statistics, that facility care is 10 to 15% of what we see in a CCRC typically. And there's still some care that is best placed in a facility, but that there's a lot of care that really can occur in an individual's home. And that's really what the goal of the program is, and the programs have been incredibly successful at achieving that. Mm-hmm. So as we talk about the at-home program, I think it's important that we sort of talk about what is involved in that. And the first is the care coordination. That's really a critical component of it. As you join the program, you immediately talk to a care coordinator. And I actually think care coordination is sort of a poor terminology. It's just what the industry has had. I think wellness coordinator is a much better term, in that you're starting to talk to the individual and developing that relationship when you're well. And that individual is really trying to keep you well for as long as possible and the best, sort of that highest quality of life. And that's why you have that home inspection. Are any modifications necessary so that you can live safely in your home throughout your lifetime? And then if care is needed, they'll bring that care into the home. You have the home health aides and the companions, and home and even live-in companions. And then if it's necessary, there is sort of that backstop of that facility care, the assisted living or the nursing home. But I do want to talk in a little more detail in terms of that care coordination, because a lot of people use that term and it means different things. You hear it a lot with long-term care insurance, almost any long-term care insurance policy, and they're all different, but they all mention that they have care coordination, but it's really a different thing than what the at-home programs have. Typically for a long-term care insurance policy, what they mean by care coordination is when an event happens, what care do you qualify for? And that's just a totally different service than what we're talking about with the at-home program, where that care coordinator comes in when you're healthy and they develop that relationship with you so that when an event occurs, they already know you, they know what your desires are, and they're really working with you to determine what do you need, not necessarily what do you qualify for. And they're working with you and your family to determine what you need and how what's the best methodology to bring that care in. And because they're local with you, they know the care providers in that area. Whereas a long-term care insurance company typically is not going to be as local, and they're not really going to know the providers. They're just defining what you qualify for. They're really not helping you necessarily finding those services or figuring out what you need to keep that high quality of life. It's not to say there isn't, if you have long-term care insurance, there isn't a way to sort of marry the two together. And the at-home program actually can sort of serve as a wraparound with that long-term care insurance policy, so you can get the financial benefit of the long-term care insurance policy and the care coordination from the at-home program. And they can work with you as you work on that pricing of the two to really get the benefits of both if you already have the long-term care insurance policy. One of the questions I frequently get asked is, do we really know what the lifetime costs are? Everybody's heard that long-term care insurance companies have struggled over the years. And do we really know what those tail expenses are? And what I want to tell you is the answer is yes, we really do. In addition to working with at-home programs, I've worked with over 450 CCRCs. And I also work with 8 long-term care insurance companies. I'm very familiar. And what we found with all 3 is, even though the care provided is different, the location is different, the cost is very close to the same. We actually do know how much care is needed. What happened with long-term care insurance companies was not the care costs. If we go back to the 70s when it was first being developed, and the projected care costs for a number of those insurance companies at the time, the projected care costs are actually less than what they had projected. Well, they did miss on 2 assumptions. They missed on how many people would drop the insurance. They assumed long-term care insurance purchasers would drop like annuitant buyers, and that didn't happen. People who bought it kept it. And they missed on the inflation assumption. The 70s were a high inflation environment, and interest rates have dropped. And so those 2 assumptions are really what impacted the long-term care insurance companies. And so as we do our financial projections for the at-home programs, we learn from that past. And so we actually assume very low voluntary withdrawals or lapses from the program. Again, learning from that long-term care insurance experience. And we also assume a very low interest rate environment, giving the program the opportunity to sort of beat those investment returns instead of setting that high goal. As we think about what those long-term care costs, so based from my CCRC and my long-term care insurance experience, I see that we do know what that cost is. You also see it on the Medicare side. This is 20 years of experience ranging from 1992 up to 2013. And look at the average ADLs and IADLs, which is assistance of daily living and instrumental activities of daily living. And they really haven't changed much over that 20-year period. There's a good consistency in terms of what those care needs are over that 20-year period. So it's not that we don't understand what care is needed. It's more about where are you going to provide that care and how do we provide that care. And that's what the at-home model really is doing, sort of changing that system so that you can keep the individual and keep you at the highest quality of life possible. So it's not deferring care, it's not eliminating care, it's really just providing it in a different location. So because we're not deferring care, we're not avoiding it, there's no getting around that long-term care is expensive, whether it occurs in the facility or in the home. And that's what this program is doing. It's giving you a fixed cost, and we do have inflationary increase, but it makes it easier for you to then plan for that long-term care expense. And that's really the goal here that we have. So I'm going to take it off share. So as I have it on here, I can't see any questions you have. but I would love to answer any questions that you have.
Brad, is there any way, or Mary, could you specify some of the differences between long-term care insurance and at home by Hunt? You mentioned care coordination, but are there other differences between a program and long-term care insurance?
So every long-term care insurance policy is different, so it will vary significantly. One of the differences, a lot of long-term care insurance policies will have a lower benefit in the home than they have in facility care, so that there's a financial incentive for an individual to move through to the facility, whereas typically the limits with at-home programs, that benefit limit is the same, so that there's no financial incentive from the individual on that benefit. In terms of what location, we really do encourage as much care as possible in the home versus the facility care, again, to maintain that high quality of life. But the biggest difference absolutely is the care coordination. I can't understate that enough. It's just, that's a huge difference between the two.
Yeah, I think something else, to that point is, and you spoke of this earlier, is just the whole getting to know you while you're well, building that relationship. And I think another major difference of the two, of long-term care and at home, typically a long-term care insurance policy may have restrictions or a 90-day waiting period, or you have to meet so many activities of daily living deficits before the policy can trigger. Whereas with at home, if you have one activity of deficit of daily living, we're going to start putting in care if it's necessary. Our program also, there's no waiting period for it to start. So on top of the care coordination, we're providing care long before a long-term care policy could even trigger. And I think that's really why so many people with long-term care insurance really are grabbing onto the at-home program, because it's really functioning as a gap insurance for folks. And it's covering them where their policies won't, because our at-home program will also pay over whatever their cap is, their daily cap for care. So they're getting that extra coverage. And I said to Brad earlier before this started, for those of you who don't have long-term care insurance, purchasing at home as a supplemental policy, more or less, gives you that long-term care insurance that you don't already have. So if you don't have it, it's really a great benefit for you to look at home and get that coverage that you might have missed out at a younger age.
Right, and someone did ask what ADL stands for. It's activities of daily living, and that's like transporting, eating,
Toileting,
toileting. So it's things that, and what do you need to be able to do so that you can live independently?
Mm-hmm.
And do you need assistance with any of those items?
Right.
And with a life care contract that At Home by Hunt or Continuing Care at Home offers, there's no maximum benefit, where long-term care insurances will often have that maximum benefit. We don't with Continuing Care at Home. Right?
There's no maximum benefit in terms of length of time. There is a daily cap in terms of services, but there's no maximum benefit in terms of length of time, whereas a lot of long-term care policies might be a 3-year policy or a 5-year policy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And to Brad's point, oftentimes with a long-term care policy, the home care benefit is considerably less than what you might benefit from for a daily cost for assisted living or nursing. At Home by Hunt does have a daily cap, and the cap is $386 a day, which comes out to roughly about, $145,000 a year benefit. So, our cap, if you needed to come into the community, that daily cap is covered. Your care would be covered under the cap if we couldn't support you at home. So that's also important to know, that you would be cared for within one of our communities, or on the Seacoast, one of our communities that we utilize there, Webster at Rye or Wentworth Senior Living, both nonprofits as well. So I think it's important to know that you'll be covered all around.
And Mary, this might be for you as well. They're just asking about long-term care insurance and continuing care at home or at home by Hunt, how they work together, and if there's a discount
Yes.
if they join with both.
Yes, so that's really important to know. So our actuary, Brad, has built a calculator for us that we would look at what your coverages are, your age, and all the benefits of your policy. It's a standardized calculator, so we're able to plug in your coverage on an individual basis. And that calculator gives us a discount off of our monthly rate. So for example, you know, you might have, I have 5 contracts that I'm working with now. All 5 applicants happen to have long-term care insurance. And I would say each of their discounts is between $250 and $350 a month off of the monthly rate. And our monthly rate for singles right now is $579, and for couples it's $562. So whatever that discount calculates, it comes off of the monthly rate. So folks with long-term care insurance, because they already have some level of coverage, can get the additional coverage of at home at a less of a monthly fee.
Do you have to be a certain age to join?
Yes, you have to be 62 to join our program. And that initial membership fee is based on age. So it varies from 62 all the way up to 100. I think our oldest joining member was 93. We have someone with an application in now that's 86. So people are considering this at all ages. We do have members in their 60s as well. And I believe our average age right now is about 77. So it's varying, but people are usually, well, you have to be healthy to join. So I have members that are working. I have members that are, you know, very busy. And so that's part of what we do, getting to know everyone and, you know, how much they want us to be in touch with them. I will say for some of my members, I'm their person. They have no one. So, you know, they really rely on me and my care coordination staff to really support them. And other people say, you know what, email me once a month, I'm good. You know, I'm busy. So, but that's, you know, what we look for, those cues and building that relationship.
Right. And that is the key, that you are joining it. It's not so much the age, but while you're healthy.
Yep.
So that because once an event occurs, you can't join the program. It needs to be a program that you join while you're healthy.
Right, right. You know, my predecessor had a slide in the show that said, you know, it wasn't raining when Noah started to build the ark. And how true is that? You know, you need to plan and you know, certainly I find anyway, people with long-term care insurance policies are true planners. So when they look at home, they look at it as a supplement to their plan. And I often say to people, there are a certain group of people that do nothing. And, you know, and that certainly is a choice for people, but I find it the most expensive choice because, you know, you often have to utilize a lot of other services, and whether that's a skilled short-term stay or rehab, or maybe, you know, you need respite, or, you know, and so you're using a lot of different services on the in-between. And the cost of all that care is very expensive if you don't have that plan.
Well, I don't have any other questions coming through. I'm not sure if anyone has any last minute comments or questions they'd like to share.
What I will say is thank you for joining us. And I do have on Monday a member guest panel. So I have a couple from the Seacoast, and I have another couple, one from Hudson and a single woman from Nashua, all joining to do a discussion panel and answer your questions. And that is Monday at 3 p.m. And it should be very informative for you. I think, you know, they'll tell you a little bit about their journey of joining, why they joined, if they're getting services. I will say the couple from Greenland, New Hampshire is relatively new, but they wanted to share their journey of joining. The couple from Hudson has been receiving care in the home, and we'll be discussing that. And then I'd have a single woman who's going to talk about her journey as well. Right. So I would welcome you all to let us know and join that as part of your discovery process.
I did get another question that asked what the initial cost is, and I would encourage you to contact Mary on that, only because there's different plans that you can sign up for, and it really depends on what age you are, and we want to be very specific about that. So I would encourage you to contact Mary and actually have that conversation in terms of what the cost would be for you. Yeah, because there is a different cost for every age for the initial membership fee. And what I will say about that initial fee is it's tax deductible. So as a medical expense. So our members really find that beneficial as well.
Mary, can you talk about next steps if people do have questions or if they do want to contact you?
Sure. So, you know, typically I will reach out to everyone in an email. However, I'll give you my phone number right now. It's 603-821-1202. And you can give me a call, or my email is mrhodes, R-H-O-D-E-S, at homebyhunt.org. But you can expect me to just reach out to you, and then we can, you know, go back and forth if you want pricing, or you'd like, perhaps you'd like to see 2 years of our audited financials. I'll always share those. Or if you'd like to read the contract, I'm happy to give you any of that information as part of the process of decision making. All right. Good enough. Well, thank you, Brad.
My pleasure. I enjoyed doing this.
Yeah, very much so. And thank you all for joining us today.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right.